If you have stock tanks on your farm like this one or even metal ones, chances are you're going to have little cracks that happen or burns or holes in them, other kind of issues that cause them to leak. I found a really simple and very affordable solution to fixing those holes, and I'm going to tell you how to do it in this video. I'm Kelsey, your best friend on the homestead from roughandtumblefarmhouse.com. So let me show you real quick on this stock tank because I have repaired it before. So this one, it got a burn in the bottom, which we'll look at more closely, but right there, got a burn in the bottom of it because of course we're using the wrong sort of heater in it because we were in a pinch in the winter and had to buy whatever heater they had available, and they were sold out of the kinds that were safe for this. So we got one and kind of crossed our fingers, and of course it didn't work. So we burnt a hole in the bottom of this thing. And so it was about 6 or 7 years ago that I did this same repair on the bottom. And just now, like I said, here we are 6, 7 years later, I'm going to have to repair it again. So I think that's a pretty good shelf life because this size are at least 60 bucks right now, if not even more. So we're going to be fixing that or re-repairing that. And then I also have, I'll show you another kind of hole here on the side. So let me show you our spots that we're fixing and how we're going to fix it. All right, so here is the first one that I repaired. You can see it's actually cracked out a ways from it here. So I'm hoping we can still make this one work. I might repair this, put something over top, and then kind of seal that in with what I'm going to show you we're going to use. You can actually see a little bit of the remainder of the sort of sealant that I used last time right there. So this is all the bigger it was, and the sealant completely worked and kept it from leaking for 6, 7 years. You can see here it's really been just kind of leaking our rusty well water down the side. So first we're going to get this thing cleaned up because that's an important first step, is to have good clean surfaces, and then I'll show you what product we're going to use. Okay, so I have it all scrubbed out. What I'm going to do now is wipe the dirt from my forehead, and then we're going to let this sit and just air dry in the sun. I'll put it in a sunny spot. Okay, so this is nice and dry, and excuse the duck sounds in the background. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I filled their pool, so hopefully they get distracted. And this is the product that we are going to use. Now, you don't have to use this particular brand. This is just the one that I grabbed, the Celsi. It's an aquarium silicone. So 100% silicone, good adhesion. It does not harm the fish. So I like to use this for a couple of reasons. For one, I like that it's really flexible. So here's like a little dried blob of it from earlier. And it's kind of rubbery, so you can see it allows for a little bit of flex. Sorry, the guineas are going crazy too. Allows for a little bit of flex, which is nice. It also, I have used this on the stock tank, like I told you, for 6 years. So it worked in Minnesota winters down to -40 actual air temperature. It's worked up to like the 90s. It stayed working well. So this is what I like to use. And two, of course, I mean, it's safe for fish to be in, obviously. So I trust that it's safe, for there to be a little bit on their stock tank. Also, what I like about this versus some other different sealants is that this is made already to have water sitting in it constantly, and it's supposed to hold up. Other things that you could use, they are just, made for like pipes or whatever. It's not supposed to have water just sitting on it all the time. Water kind of passes through and is done. But this is made with the intention that water is going to be on it all the time. So really simply, all we're going to do, so here is the exterior one. And this did come with a little nozzle thingy on top. But of course, I misplaced it. And I'm just going to smear this over top. You can certainly use gloves if you want to. I advise washing it off pretty quickly after you use it. Otherwise, it does kind of stick. And so I'm just making sure I get all the nooks and crannies here. And I like to put it on pretty thick, especially over the crack there. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing on the inside. Okay, and I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do my big hole in the bottom. Now, I'm going to see, like I said previously, this hole had a little bit of plastic in it still. Sorry, now the dogs are coming out. Had a little bit of plastic in it still, which looks like that's kind of busted away. So I'm going to see if I can just seal this up straight up with silicone. And I'm going to do this top outer layer first, or this bottom layer first, technically. And then I'm going to come back and do the other side later, because I want this to form a really good seal, just like this. And then I'll add some. Sorry, Poppy, get off. Okay, sorry. I don't know what you got to see there because my puppy ran up in the middle of it and kind of caused a ruckus. So I'm doing this on the outside first, and I'm doing it pretty thick and letting it kind of goop on through. And then tomorrow, after this is cured well enough, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to put some on the inside as well. I think this should be enough here to maintain this. But again, we'll put some more on in the morning and then we will give it a water test after 24 hours. Okay, so as you can see here, we got a pretty good seal on everything. It's looking good. And what I'm going to do now is flip it over and do the other side. Well, unfortunately, we're all wet from the dew, so what I'm going to have to do is wait for this to dry and come out and put the stuff on. Again, it's really important that it is a dry surface when we put this on or it's not going to adhere well. So we'll let this sit out in the sun and then I'll come out maybe around lunchtime and we'll put another coating of the silicone here across this part. Okay, sorry, the audio is not going to be as good for this portion because I completely forgot to bring my microphone out with me and I do not have time to turn back and get it. So I'm just going to do the same thing I did before here on the inside now that things are nice and dry and put another layer. Here, maybe I can zoom in a little. Here we go. Sorry, I've got really uneven ground I'm trying to navigate here with my camera and the ducks are being loud, loud and obnoxious. But so anyway, we're just going to squeeze a bunch more out here. So as you can see, I really wanted to coat, even though this was already sticking through, I wanted to get that sealed up really well as well and do these cracks. And then I'm going to go ahead and put another coat just on top of these other ones I fixed. And you can see I didn't have the right thing for this. So I just put it on a broom handle here and then just push it on there to get some more of it to come out. High tech around here. All right, now tomorrow night I will come out and we will do a test to make sure it's not leaking. Okay, so here we are the next day. Everything, as far as I can tell, looks nice and set and sealed up. And so sorry about the ducks in this video. They've just gone rogue. But anyway, so I will just throw some water in here and we'll see how our seal did. I'm going to stick it up over on a concrete pad here. So if it is leaking underneath, I'll be able to tell. Just a couple of things while the tank is filling up here and the ducks are running around like crazy is that this stock tank, I'm not going to have this be like a toss around, move around stock tank. You know, when we're rotating animals, then they have access to certain pastures, you know, we're moving around stock tanks so they have access to clean water. This is not a tank that I'm going to do that with, especially because of that split on the side. This is one that's going to be kind of more of a stationary tank or a backup tank. It isn't one that's going to be having to undergo a lot of stress and movement because even though those seals will probably hold up to that just fine, I don't want to put any extra pressure on them. So that's one thing to keep in mind, just kind of have this be your backup or stationary tank. Next thing is when you're going to apply this stuff, it won't adhere if the temperature is kind of too far to one end or the other. So if it's below 45 degrees, so if it's cold where you are, then you want to get it a little bit warmer. So bring it into a shop or something like that. And then if it is hotter than 105 degrees, this is all Fahrenheit, by the way, then that's also too hot. It's not going to adhere properly and dry properly. So again, if you have sort of a more climate controlled environment, you can bring it into for a couple days while you are applying, or just a day while you are applying the silicone, then that is what you want to do. There are different silicones you can get. Again, I just grabbed this one off of Amazon. It was 15 bucks. I used a different one in the past. I think it was only like 5 or 6, but it was a much smaller tube. This tube will honestly last me probably for decades, as long as I keep it sealed up nicely. It's going to work for a really long time. I mean, so 15 bucks to have it for years. Because again, I had to repair this. It's been 6 or 7 years since this has needed a repair. I will link to this exact one that I got from Amazon down below in the description if you want to grab the same tube. The only thing about this tube is, like I showed you, is that you need to have like a caulking gun for it, or if you don't have one of those, like I showed you, you just take the end of a broom handle or the end, anything pokey, and you know, have the pokey thing and just kind of push it down and it'll push it right out. So you don't need to have like a caulking gun if you don't have one. That just works fine, that little trick. So some of the reasons, again, why I like this, if I didn't cover it before, I've been recording this video over the course of like 3 days just because of things being wet and cure time and everything. So I forget completely what I've mentioned, but I like this because, again, it is going to be non-toxic for the animals as opposed to some other sort of plumbing things. who knows, but this is made to have fish swimming around it all the time. I also like the fact that it's flexible. The silicone will move a little bit and flex. It's not as if it's like a solid dried thing in there. It's always a little bit squishy, so it moves nicely, which is really great. Again, it holds up well in all sorts of temperatures here in Minnesota. It gets as cold, actual air temperature, coldest I've seen, I think was like negative 49 and then plus wind chill. So it's held up to the cold really well. And then it also gets, probably about like hottest I've seen is maybe like mid 90s here in Minnesota. So it can get pretty hot as well. And this stuff holds up great. Okay, so as you can see, that bit of wet on the concrete, that is actually from when I was just moving the hose into it. But so far, if it was going to leak out the bottom, we would be seeing a lot more wet. I should have been more than I sprayed the dog. She was trying to eat chicken poop. So never mind all that wetness. None of that is from here. And that's just from me putting the hose in to start with. So we would see leaking if it was going to leak. And again, I'll leave this here to kind of do a test run here. The ducks can just play in it and have at it. So there is the other seal that I did that definitely was leaking a lot before. So we're just going to fill it up here past the top of that kind of seal line, and we'll make sure that is good to go. But I honestly think we should probably be just fine. Okay, so I'm looking and you can see definitely where the crack is. We are well over where the crack was, and I'm seeing absolutely zero leakage. Now, if you enjoyed this video and found this helpful, I'm going to link to a farm hacks video that I did in collaboration with some other homesteaders, small farmers here on YouTube with some really great ideas for things for your homestead that maybe you wouldn't think about and you go, oh, that's genius. I'll link to another video of my own that you might find useful. Hopefully this hack has saved you from having to get rid of a stock tank and it'll give you years more of good service. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you here next week for more from your Rough and Tumble Farmhouse.